I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
Gospel music to the ears of one Queens parish.
A lot of people are very excited about it because of two things. One, it's new, and two, it's very, very well done.
Lino Rulli pokes his nose around the tablet.
Ed.
And on Long Island, life imitates art.
Or the worst experience was when my mother died. And ironically, I was working on the scene of Jesus calming the sea.
Good evening. In 2008, New York was the second largest market for gospel music sales, trailing only Los Angeles. Annually, that genre of music brings in more than $500 million, that's billion with a B, for record companies. There's no doubt about it, gospel music is popular.
I would say, but it isn't something that you'd expect to hear when you walk into a Catholic church. Until now, that is. Parishioners at Sacred Heart Parish in Cambria Heights are clapping their hands and they're jumping for joy, incorporating gospel music into their parish program through a program called The Experience.
The experience came about as an expansion of the artistic movement here at Sacred Heart, because you have a choir, but they started to think, well, what would happen if we kind of chose people from all of the different choirs, the best musicians, the best singers, and then expanded even that to include acting, dancing, anything to express our Catholic faith.
Our faith lack promotion. You walk down the corner and there's somebody else handing you a pamphlet talking about being saved. And I think as a culture, as Catholics, we're not very vocal about our faith. And some people might tend to say that we're not very proud of our faith. So music being the area that we know well, and the area that moves us mostly and that binds our faith, is a great avenue for us to promote being Catholic and who we are.
When you first came here, what were some of the things that you noticed about the church?
The liturgy, the masses, the sacraments needed a little sprucing up, that's all. A lot of people are very excited about it because of two things. One, it's new, and two, it's very, very well done. And it's an experience. I mean, you want to be there because it's not anything that you've ever had to encounter before.
We really try to get members that are very talented. We pray for that, and we really go out. But we also members that are indeed Catholic and want to stay Catholic.
And just working with this choir has been amazing. Working with this group, working with the experience has been amazing. I think that it speaks to a lot of people. I mean, we had a lot of fun out there, and I think hopefully, people are going to see that in the performance. But once, we're going to even be having more fun. Like, music for everybody is something that's there when you're down, when you're up. And I think that it's something that helps to deepen your faith.
And so I saw a good thing that could be made even better. So by a little bit more attention to detail, a little bit more support of the directors and of the musicians, we seem to have really developed something fantastic.
Father Patterson to me is a phenomenal priest and a phenomenal pastor, and he's been super supportive from the very beginning.
He hungers very much for the church to be more exciting, for the mass to be more exciting. He hungers for music that people can join in, and because even when we bring other music in, he loves it, and he goes, "Well, I wish you guys wouldn't say this." So having, now that we're more comfortable because we're really creating music that is around exactly who we are, for who we are, by us and for us.
It was like nothing I had ever seen, and it was fantastic. But then I started to get a little concerned because, you know, 5 o'clock Mass in just about any church on Saturday is not the liveliest crowd of people. And Michael Capobianco, who is our music director here, wanted to bring that to the 5 o'clock Mass, and I was like, oh no. You know, it's almost having my Fred Sanford moment, you know. This is it. The people loved it. The people loved it. I was very, very, very surprised. Then he tried the same thing at 8 o'clock Mass. The people loved it. And so this experience is quite an experience.
How much fun is that? The experience at Sacred Heart Parish in Cambria Heights. Very enthusiastic and joyful. Well, stay tuned. There is much more currents ahead, including all the day's headlines.
And later, don't run in the hallway. Look at what she painted.
The murals, again, like I said, came about in a planning of trying to make the building look nicer.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up later, the inspiration behind a remarkable work of art on Long Island.
But first, we'll turn to the day's headlines. Well, we've been telling you about it for a couple of days, and soon enough, it will be here. The Vatican has announced today that Pope Benedict's latest encyclical will be released next Tuesday, July 7th. Now, for those who may not know, an encyclical is a letter of great importance written by the Pope about a particular subject. Benedict's latest is titled Caritas in Veritate, or in English, Love in Truth. According to a recent report, the letter will address what Christians need to do to bring about a truly free human coexistence. Well, in Rome, one of the best known sites isn't a shrine or a church, but a hospital. And as we hear from Rome Reports, it recently dedicated a tribute to its most famous patient.
John Paul II used to say that the Gemelli Hospital in Rome was his third home. In fact, he was hospitalized there 9 times and spent a total of 153 nights on the 10th floor, in the hospital's apartment reserved for the Pope. From this window, he prayed the Sunday Angelus several times and even had general audiences here. In his memory, the hospital placed a statue of John Paul II in the main entrance.
When someone walks through the door of this hospital and looks at the statue of the Pope, even at a glance, they will find inspiration and strength and receive his help and protection. From here, the Pope gave his message that life is worth living, even with the hindrances of disease.
The statue carries the phrase, "Be not afraid," which John Paul II spoke during the inaugural Mass of his pontificate. According to his secretary, there was the same attitude Karol Wojtyła had during the difficult times he had to face in his life.
The Lord wanted the Pope to go experience the mystery of pain up until his last minute. His whole pontificate was full of painful moments, with particularly tragic moments like when his life was threatened in St. Peter's Square on May 13, 1981. When he lost his voice, he would write thank you to those who tended to him.
Cardinal Jewitt said that he hopes the late Pope's beatification be celebrated soon. This week, theologians from the Congregation for the Cause of Saints had already approved the tests that have been presented. The next step involves cardinals and archbishops analyzing the case as well as the Pope's official approval.
And an interesting footnote to that story, John Paul II reportedly was the first pope to be treated at a hospital.
We told you yesterday about one bishop's concern about the situation in Honduras. Now, a Catholic aid official says he's worried about human rights following the coup there. The official tells the Catholic News Service that since the coup, there have been reports of people being imprisoned and detained. Back in this country, the Baltimore Archdiocese is investigating whether the disappearance of a woman's terminal cancer was a miracle. The woman being treated at Johns Hopkins Medical Center for tumors in her lungs, liver, stomach, and chest, well, she unexpectedly recovered after praying to Blessed Francis X Selos, a 19th century priest who served in Maryland. Quite an amazing story.
Absolutely, very amazing. And stay tuned because we've got more amazing stories just ahead, including that of a woman who tells us what moved her as she painted the Bible stories.
And Lino Rulli stops the presses.
It seems like dominoes. At any time, a book will come out and everything will fall apart.
It's been around for more than 100 years, an institution in Brooklyn and in Queens. It's the diocesan newspaper called The Tablet, and the man pulling the strings there is also an institution himself, Ed Wilkinson, the Tablet's editor.
Well, and you know, usually Ed is the one who's interviewing people, but we decided that we wanted to interview him, and who better to do that than our own Lino Rulli? Well, actually lots of people would be better, but we sent Lino on over to the Tablet offices anyway. And today, Tablet editor Ed Wilkinson is Lino Rullis Catch of the Day.
Hey, I'm Lino Rulli, and you know, usually I get to hang out with TV people all day, but not now. Today I get to hang out with newspaper people. That's right, this will be fun. Ed Wilkinson, the editor of the Tablet. Now, all they told me is Ed doesn't have an enormous staff here for the newspaper, so I guess my first assignment is actually finding Ed. Let's go. All right, I guess my first assignment isn't finding Ed. My first assignment is trying to get into the building. Hey, Ed? Hey, Ed, you want to let me up? Ed? Hey, Ed? Hey, Ed? Ed?
Lino!
Ed?
Lino!
Ed? Not Ed. Hey, Ed!
Lino!
Ed? Hey, Ed?
Hey, Lino!
Oh,
over here!
Geez, Ed.
Lino, how
Nice
are
to
you?
meet you, but
Good to see you.
how do you run a newspaper with like almost nobody around?
Well, everybody does a little bit of everything, so we all pitch in and it seems to work.
I hope I'm not being put to work. This is where it all happens,
This
right?
is it. This is the hub of the operation.
This is where the genius occurs. Like every genius, the place is a complete mess.
It's a wreck.
It seems like dominoes. At any time, a book will come out and everything will fall
You
apart.
see these books? These are all freebies. People want their book reviewed. They send us a copy. What I do with these books is I usually donate them to parish libraries around the diocese.
So you don't read them?
Some I do. Some I do read.
We just found out Ed doesn't read the books. If you've sent a book to Ed, Ed didn't read it. He gave it away to a parish.
I give them away. I say, would you like to read it? This makes more sense to me. I know where everything is in this office. It might look chaotic to some people, but I know where everything is.
All right, let me see what's going on here. We got picture. What is this right here?
This is an original by Bill Gallo, who is the sports cartoonist for the Daily News. That's Bishop DiMarzio in the middle, and this is Whitey Ford over here.
Now there's somebody I already know.
Well,
no, not that. The Pope.
That's
the Pope.
the Pope. The Pope is there.
Now, have you thought about putting that on the wall, or do you think that's about right next to that?
No, there's enough things on the wall here. That's a
Next to
good
the
spot.
dead
That's a
plant
good
seems
spot.
about right, yeah. Got a little spot here for your awards.
Okay, yeah.
This one here, this award presented to Ed Wilkinson.
Oh, that's from the college alumni.
For his many years of service. Did they think you were wrapping it up? Well, this is about it for you, Ed. It's about time
He
to
said
wrap
he can't
things.
keep going much longer.
All right, we got...
Coach, that was my coach. That was the only time that I coached and the team actually won something.
All right, this is it here. A picture with you and John Paul II. He's holding an edition of the Tablet.
He's holding the tablet. How about that, huh? 4 Catholic editors of the different dioceses where he was visiting, we were invited to come and say hello to the Pope early in the morning before he said Mass in Central Park. So I brought along a copy of the tablet and I gave it to him, and his picture was on the front page.
I just noticed that right now. He's like, hey, that's me. I'd like to read about me.
I have to say that's the highlight of my career. You know,
Nice.
Meeting the Pope, you can't do much better than that. A future saint.
You got to meet me today, too.
And you and the Pope.
It's a big day.
I'm doing pretty good.
It's a big day.
I'm on a roll.
So, Ed, what are you doing here? What brought you to the Tablet?
Well, I was looking for a job. I needed a job. And I wanted to do newspaper work, which seems crazy. Believe me, I wouldn't have hired myself. You know, I really, all I had was a theology and a philosophy background. I had no journalism background. They brought me in. I learned everything on the job, and it stuck.
So how long have you been doing this for?
I hate to say it, 39 years. It's been 39 years. I was a kid when I started.
All right, so you've been here for 39 years. 39. But the tablet's been around here before you got here, right? It's like 100 years old? So why is it called the tablet? Is it because like that's what you guys were originally using, were stone tablets when the paper came out?
Moses brought those 2 tablets up the mountain. I think that's where it came from.
Why do you think it's important to have the Catholic press? What can the Catholic press give people that nobody else could give?
It's important because there are certain things that are going on in society, especially today, where we need a vehicle to get our word out. You know, that gives us a chance to tell a story that you're not going to get somewhere else. You're not going to get the stories that we print. You're not going to get them in the secular paper.
There's a lot of pressure in Catholic writing, isn't there? I mean, you got the Bible, that's a long time ago. You got 2,000 years of church writing. There's a lot of pressure in this, isn't there?
Well, the pressure is you better be Catholic. You know, that's the pressure. You know, we're a newspaper, but we're a Catholic newspaper. And sometimes people have different opinions on what that means to be Catholic. You know? And we try to give a space to all different kinds of viewpoints. But we have to be authentically Catholic also.
When a person gets the newspaper, what are you hoping that your readers get out of the tablet?
I hope that they're getting a shot in the arm for their faith. You know, when they pick it up, not only are they getting news, but we have columns, we have opinions, and I hope that they feel more connected to the church. You know, we want to make this paper as real and as more a reflection of what's going on in the church in our neighborhoods, and I hope that's what comes across to our readership. You know, we circulate 75,000 copies of the paper every week, and it goes all across the United States. I think we're the only newspaper, diocesan newspaper, that can claim readership in 45 states, because when a lot of people move out of Brooklyn, you know, we're a transient neighborhood here, and as people leave, they take the tablet with them to keep up on what's going on back home in Brooklyn.
So Ed, I'm thinking maybe the tablet should write an article about me.
Well, Lino, you're a nice guy, but just not interesting enough. You know. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm. Nice meeting you. Thanks.
Our own Lino Rulli there, covering the news as only he can. Well, if you want to check out the tablet, you can head on over to their website. It is thetablet.org. You can also pick up a copy of the tablet at any Catholic parish in the Brooklyn Diocese. Stay tuned, much more currents just ahead.
Meet a woman who's made it easier to read a very big book.
You know the story of when Moses parted the Red Sea so that the people could walk through it? That's the sea coming apart.
Last week, we met a woman who turned the very plain-looking walls of a parish center in Bohemia, Long Island, into a beautiful mural that tells Bible stories.
Marianne Savage discussed how the mural came about, but believe it or not, there's much more to her story. During the 4 years she spent painting the mural, Savage went through some really difficult times, and in many ways her work ran parallel to her life. And tonight she is our eyewitness.
Why is those bricks there and what is not behind the bricks over there?
Okay, well, that was how I tried to keep the mural looking one big picture. Yes, that little...
That's like a little guy.
You're talking about the little guy laying down?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the son that died.
Are those things like tornadoes or water spinning?
That's the water. You know the story of when Moses parted the Red Sea so that the people could walk through it? That's the sea coming apart so that they could walk straight through to the other side. I'm an artist. I am an artist, though. It's inside me. I'm also a mother of 3 very successful children. I'm a secretary. I'm a whole bunch of things all rolled into one. Basically, the murals, again, like I said, came about just in a planning of trying to make the building look nicer. There were a few difficult moments to get through the mural, some of which were physical injuries that I suffered due to the mural, a couple of shoulder injuries, and I had sprained my ankle at one point. So, but probably the hardest one, or the worst experience, was when my mother died, and ironically, I was working on the scene of Jesus calming the sea, and I felt that it was very appropriate because in my own little turmoil and rough seas that I was going through, that I was in that moment of, you know, of being able to hold on to that hope, and that Jesus was there and trying to calm everything down. My faith is always been very strong. I believe that there is someone out there bigger than us, and something out there that we think that we know everything and that we can do it all, and we really don't. And these pictures reflect it. The stories that are told, everybody that's in the stories, all thought that they knew better, and we're all connected. We all have one person actually watching over us, and I truly believe that, and if we open ourselves up to it, great things can happen.
Great things like her creation. Marianne Savage, she is tonight's eyewitness. And who would have ever known or thought that she was going through, you know, so many tough times when she can create something so beautiful?
Right, and I mean, you know, she was talking about when her mother passed away, that she was working on the portion of the mural that was Jesus calming the sea, so that really spoke to her.
Right.
And, you know, and another thing, too, that I think is interesting that I guess I didn't think of last week when we did this story was how much her knowledge, as I was seeing her explain the mural to the little kids, how much her knowledge of these Bible stories really must have expanded as she had to translate that from the words on the page to the pictures on the wall.
Right, and she did that so beautifully and so brightly, and also it really looks like, you know, she took some of the things that were in her life and put them into her art, put them into her work. It almost seems in a way that it kind of became a form of prayer for her, or some kind of, you know, reflection during that time when she was actually doing the art, despite the shoulder injuries, or, you know, the sprained ankle and the other challenges.
Right, and I mean, you know, years that it took to do this. There's only so long that you can stand like this painting. Right. You know, without it hurting it.
And she's not formally trained.
Right.
I mean, she calls herself an artist, which I think is amazing, but she's actually apparently isn't formally trained.
Right, and you can tell by her work that she just loves it so much, and she's obviously very, very talented. Well, that is it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, Michael Jackson. As fans continue to mourn the King of Pop, we'll examine what leads to celebrity worship. That and more tomorrow here on Currents.
And remember, you can always watch us online. The address is netny.net. And if you want some quick updates, we got something new for you. You can follow us on Twitter. Just head over to twitter.com currentsny. That's the new website, twitter.com currentsny. Thanks so much for watching us tonight. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Have a great night.